Hello everyone, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about food chains and food webs, which is something I asked you to start last lesson. So here is a very simple food chain: grass, rabbit, fox. The arrow basically means energy transfer. So the rabbit eats the grass, so the energy is transferred from the grass into the rabbit. The fox eats the rabbit, so the energy is transferred into the rabbit, from the rabbit into the fox. So the arrow represents the direction of energy transfer. Okay, now underneath in your books, the food webs or food chains that you drew last lesson, I would like you to write that sentence answering these questions. What does this show? It shows a food chain. What do the arrows represent? It represents the energy transfer. Please pause the video and do that now. When we look at food webs, we can think about, how numbers of one animal affects the other. So what would happen to the number of rabbits and foxes if the grass died? So if there was no grass in the world, the number of rabbits would go down because they'd starve, unfortunately. They'd have nothing to eat. The same would actually happen to the number of foxes, because the number of grass goes down, then there's no more rabbits because they've got nothing to eat, which means the foxes have nothing to eat either, so there's less of them. So that's what represents down a food chain. Now we can make it bigger and into something called a food web. Now this is a food web, and the reason why it's a web and not a chain is because there's lots of different things leading to the same thing. So from the sun, we've got lots of different plants, not just one. From, this squirrel eats both of these plants, okay? Now, I asked you to define what a producer was last lesson. Now, a producer is the thing that produces chemical energy, and it's always the plant. So this level here is the producer. The primary consumers are the thing that eats the plants, okay? So they are going to eat them, and they are a primary consumer. A secondary consumer is this level, the one that eats that. So they tend to be meat eaters. Now, if you're a vegetarian animal, like the squirrel, the cow, the rabbits, the deer, you are the primary consumers, and you are what we call a herbivore. That means that you just eat plants, not meat. Now, if you are the secondary consumers, you are a carnivore. That means you eat meat. And if you're like humans, like us, most humans are omnivores. That means they eat plants and animals. I would like you, and you can use Google to help you if you want, and you can rewind this video if you want, to make sure you have a definition of your book for all of the following. So pause the video here now. Try and make a definition for all of those words. Now, you might have done some of them last lesson, in which case you can miss those out. We can skip that. I would like you to do this. It's not going to be homework. Let's take that out. It's not homework. So research a random habitat of your choice. So it could be anything. It could be a jungle. It could be a desert, it could be a forest, it could be a woodland, and I want you to produce a food web, a big food web, as big as you can. Okay, so you have to do some research about that. I want you to label on there all the producers, consumers, and the different trophic levels. So really, I mean all of those different words. Now there's an example of a food chain here that can help you if you want to look at one. This is a seafood chain. Okay, that's all I want you to do.